Every year the Oscars comes out, and almost every year less and less people watch it. It's about time they change things. What's up everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Ben and I talk about the film and TV industry, and I'm glad to have you here. Today I want to talk about the Oscars. They just happened this past weekend and no one really watches them anymore. They've been on a pretty steady decline since about 2018, and while there has been some promise in the past few years with the recent uptick in viewers, I still think they can do way more with their live productions to attract more viewers. So I wanted to dive into how I personally think the Oscars can adapt to give these great films the platform that they deserve. Personally, I don't think the Oscars feel like an event anymore. No one cares to watch them because, let's be honest, they're kind of boring. It's just presenting over and over again, which, yeah, that is the whole purpose of an awards ceremony, but it's still kind of boring. Maybe there are some fun musical performances every now and then, which is great.
Sandworm from Doom 2 playing chopsticks on the piano. I won't waste time. He won't waste time. I won't waste time.
This year they had a James Bond tribute for some reason. I have no idea. I actually tried looking it up why they had this tribute and could not find anything. It didn't say that there was an anniversary. They just kind of did it, and it is Sunday night when I'm recording this, so maybe more information came out about it. But as of now, they had no real reason to do that performance. Maybe it was just to give a nice goodbye to James Bond now that Amazon has full creative control and they will milk that franchise till it's dead. The Oscars will do some nice other musical performances as well that do actually celebrate the actual films that were nominated, like last year's I'm Just Ken performance, which was amazing and it did speak to me on a spiritual level. You would think they'd learn and include more fun events like this, but they're not. They're very stupid, and they almost axed this year's entire musical performance when they had one of the most successful musicals to ever come out released this past year.
From penis to vagina.
Obviously, that's the one I'm referring to. Personally, I don't even watch the Oscars even though I love movies, because honestly I find them kind of boring, and in the world of social media, I don't have to watch them. I can just go to Twitter, go to the Academy's page, and hit notify me when they tweet, so I'll know all the winners. And then if something big happens or something viral happens, it will be all over Twitter or TikTok.
Out your fucking mouth!
But I do notice that I always watch the gaming awards every single year, even though it's kind of the same thing. It's just kind of a boring award ceremony. But I love movies more than I love games, and I watch more movies more than I play games. So why do I watch the gaming awards? It's because of all the announcements and trailers of the new games during the awards ceremony.
Fuck the Oscars, you know? Fuck the Oscars! Fuck you!
Now this might come off as a little anti-art, and I totally understand that, and the Game Awards should not get so much praise. They do a little too much emphasis on like the new games and the trailers, and they don't do enough emphasis on the games that they're there to actually celebrate. But at the end of the day, this is an entertainment business, and if they want to attract viewers, they should start treating this like the Game Awards or even the Super Bowl, and start treating the Oscars like a marketing event to attract more viewers. Now, I'm not saying they should launch the new Fantastic Four trailer. This is the art house community that we're dealing with, alright? I understand that it's a very different audience, but imagine if A24 dropped 5 new trailers during the Oscars of films that are coming out later that year, or they announced a massive director would be going into production on a new movie with a major star like Hunter Schafer, or Zendaya, or Jacob Elordi. Anything that tears those actors away from the Euphoria Season 3 set. You would want to be there for that announcement, and you would want to watch that live. If they don't have a trailer ready, they could also create content pieces just for the Oscars, like behind the scenes EPK interviews, featurettes, something to advertise the film well before it comes out. Relating this to a very different audience, but stick with me, look at DC. They did a great piece showcasing the Suicide Squad and Shazam 2, since they didn't have anything to show in terms of a teaser or a trailer, but they still created a fun little content piece for their DC day. Imagine if every studio did something like that, where they had a featurette or they had a brand new trailer come out. People would tune into the Oscars just for that. Roll with me here just for a second, but Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, we've had a lot of information come out about that movie in the past month or so. We had a first look at Matt Damon. There's been videos of Christopher Nolan doing location scouting. What if they saved all of that for the Oscar ceremony? What if they released that during a commercial break? What if they released that during the actual presentation of the Oscars? You would want to tune in just to see that live. You would want to be excited for this movie. You would want to see that at the same time that everyone else gets to see it. That is something that they should do. They can make this like a live event that you have to see live and appeal to people who also don't really give a shit about awards, but still like movies. A lot of people, they watch the Super Bowl even though they don't give two fucks about football, myself included, but they watch it for the trailers, they watch it for the commercials, or the musical performance halfway through. The Oscars need to give people a reason to watch, rather than just watch these massive A-listers suck their own dick. Now, to give them the benefit of the doubt, I always try to look at this from both sides. Some of the reason that they can't necessarily do that is because some of these films, they don't know they're gonna have. A lot of them are acquired, right? Studios might not know what they have for the Oscars until a festival in July, and they're like, hey, that's a good movie. But most studios do have at least one movie that they know will be a frontrunner for the Oscars. Another thing I think the Oscars should take from the Game Awards is just sheer accessibility. The Game Awards last year had 155 million viewers. The Oscars had 20. That's insane. I would give up on life if an independent company put on a live show that eclipsed my show, beat me by more than 5 times as many viewers. But the reason that they have those viewers is because the Game Awards is widely accessible and they have adapted to the digital age, and the Oscars have not. You can easily find the Game Awards on YouTube. You don't need an article of like 1,000 words explaining how to watch them. You don't need to find out which streaming service you need to buy or which streaming service you need to steal from one of your buddies. It's very simple. But the Oscars are still kind of acting like the broadcast days and are not adapting to this brand new digital world that we're in. And yes, it is on Hulu. There are some other streaming subscriptions where you can get it as well. But at the end of the day, the Oscars still have not adapted to the digital age, and they need to. And this is luckily already in the works, with the Oscars apparently looking for a new home in 2029, where they are apparently looking at Netflix. So let's hope Netflix can figure out how to do a live broadcast by then. Another thing I think the Oscars should do is to educate the general public on why certain films are nominated in their categories. One of my friends works in VFX, and she tells me that once a year, the VFX community gets together or a studio puts on an event and they showcase reels from every single film that is being considered for best VFX. The reels explain why their VFX is great, what they did, and why they stand out from the rest of the films. Release that shit to the public. People give a shit about knowing how shit is made. Do you think there's a reason why everyone keeps buying the Lord of the Rings Blu-ray box set? Because it's fucking awesome, and also greedy streamers are proving that you need to buy physical media to survive in this day and age. But also because their special features are fucking awesome, and people love hearing about how their favorite films are created. There should be more of a focus on not just the glam part of these films, like the actors, but also the craft of these films. People do care about that, and the Oscars don't think that they do. That's why they've stopped broadcasting the smaller wins like who wins best sound editing, because all the Oscars think people care about is the glitz and the glam. But if all of that was actually true, people wouldn't care about special features or VFX artists reacting on YouTube, which that account has 6.9 million subscribers. Or even, hey, let's look at marketing, right? That can prove my point. Last year, while promoting Bad Boys for Life, a clip of a certain gun action sequence was released on TikTok. It showcased the camera rig, the shot that was created, and how Will Smith was using the camera rig. That little TikTok absolutely blew up, and it went viral, getting 2.9 million views. If people didn't give a shit about the craft, that wouldn't have gotten that many views. People loved seeing it. They loved seeing this unique shot, and they loved seeing all the dedication and time that went into creating it. People give a shit about how movies are made. So take that interest and release all of these reels that they make to the public. Stop only catering to Academy members, which apparently they don't even watch every movie, considering how some members didn't even watch Dune 2 because they thought the first hour of Dune 1 was boring. What the fucking losers are a part of this Academy? Real quick, clean those members out. If my AMC A-list is used more than an Academy member's, they deserve to get the boot. But these studios, they already make these reels and clips, so why not release them to the general public and hype up their awards campaign and their film? Yeah, might as well. It costs next to nothing to throw it on TikTok or YouTube. Plus, I am so sick of seeing that meme every couple of years when they ask why Suicide Squad won Best Makeup and not Star Trek Beyond. I also love that that meme showcases only Harley Quinn and not Killer Croc, the obvious reason why they won. You can be upset that they won, that is all fine and dandy, but you at least have to understand why they won. Like, it wasn't because of Margot Robbie's smeared lipstick. Another reason why I don't think the Oscars are watched as much as they used to is because people are not invested in these films as much as they were, and it doesn't actually have to deal with any of these films' quality. Personally, I think the reason is because studios have gotten very stupid with their distribution strategy because it is expensive and they're just cheap as shit. They used to slowly release these films over a month and get word of mouth marketing, and people would be like, oh cool, have you heard about this film? I heard it was great. And then the Oscar nominations would happen. That's how it used to work. But now that doesn't happen because, yeah, distribution is expensive, and they also know that they can release it on digital just a month later. For instance, let's look at The Brutalist. That expanded to a grand total of 68 theaters nationwide after it was released for one whole month. I live in Los Angeles, and I didn't even know when this movie came out. I didn't even know where this movie came out. I wasn't sure where I could watch it, and I live in the place where movies come out first. If a movie comes out in 4 theaters, one of them's gonna be Los Angeles, and I had no idea about this film. Whoever did release or marketing on this movie, I got some questions about your job. It literally took The Brutalist to be nominated for 10 Oscars just for it to finally expand to over 1,000 theaters, and by then, 3 weeks later, you could just rent it on streaming. They needed to have this movie be released for so much longer to really build that word of mouth buzz, to allow people a chance to actually get to see it. Because a movie that barely anyone has ever heard of, that comes out and absolutely sweeps the Oscar nominations, it comes off as a little pretentious, right? Like, it comes off like, hey, you're not allowed to watch this movie. Only our super smart Academy members are allowed to watch this movie. It's very gatekeepy, and I think that personally turns a lot of people off to these movies in general. I think the Oscars should expand their mandates in order to qualify for certain film categories. Right now, it is very easy to hit their current mandate, with a film only needing to be in a theater for 7 consecutive days with 3 screenings. If the Oscars want people to care about these films and their award ceremony, they need to start making sure these films are available to all for a longer amount of time and in more theaters. But what do you all think about this? Do you think there are other ways for the Oscars to boost viewership, or do you think it's a lost cause and it's just always going to be around 20 million and this is just the new normal? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit all those YouTube buttons. I really appreciate it. It really helps out the videos. If you haven't subscribed and you like this video, please think about subscribing. I'm trying to hit 350 this month, so that would be great. Every week I put out new videos detailing about the film and TV industry. So if you subscribe, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much.